Oh, yeah. Let's do this. We got Swing for the Fences. I got Title. I got Mangone. I'm Holden Kushner. What's up, everybody? Hit the like button. In a few minutes, we'll figure out how many of you or how many likes we need, and then we'll get you guys one Run Pure Sports. Look, my swag came from JJ today. Run Pure Bets. This is so comfy cozy. The same thing as what you're getting for Run Pure Sports. So I absolutely love it. Guys, we're going to get into baseball in just a second. From what I understand now, the Brewers game is up in the air, but the NBA slate has basically been completely blown up. Listen, we're a DFS show, and a lot of you play basketball. And just so you know, you got Oklahoma City, Houston canceled. We know the Bucks and Magic are canceled. The Lakers will probably be canceled. I don't even know if we're going to have a season after this. But guys, Mango, this is a huge story overall, and really for guys in DFS too. Because I'm interested about this Brewers thing.
Yeah, that's something we'll monitor, right? About the Brewers situation. If you're like, can you hear me? I think Holden, you're having issues. I think. Okay, can you hear me, Titletown? Yeah, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Title. Holden?
Now I can hear you. Yes.
Title.
Yeah, I mean, I can think. You're cutting in and out. I can hear you at parts.
All right, let's do it, Mango.
Okay.
Now you're good.
Hopefully it's better. I don't know why that was like that, but. On the Wi-Fi, obviously in a different location. I'm cooking up the place for you guys right behind me. So clearly I'm in a kitchen, it looks like. But yeah, people in the chat, yeah, we're just kind of, get ready for the MLB slate. We don't know what's going to happen with the Brewers and that whole situation. But, we'll just talk about the MLB slate and talk about the games like how they are. If you're worried about the Brewers because something could happen, there's plenty of other stacks we can go to and talk about. So
just don't play the Brewers.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Maybe they'll be low owned and then they'll end up playing and then you want to get on them. You never know, right? Game theory, yada, yada, yada. So, but let's dive in and talk about it because I think it's a pretty good slate overall. It should be a fun one.
Yeah. And again, Hader says it's unknown if they're going to play tonight. So we don't know about the Brewers yet, but we do have a slate. We got a 10-game slate. Again, it's nice. I hate those 15-game slates. They drive me nuts. But 10 games, perfect amount. We got some pitching. We got a lot of pitching, actually, and then you got to figure out what you want to do on the other side. But let's go, guys. Let's get into this. We got Boston, Toronto. You know what? We'll get to the pitching first. So let's look at the pitching first here. DeGrom, Gray, Clevenger, Lamet. These are all interesting names at the top. Title. Talk about this top tier. Anybody, I guess, from Barrios on, from 9K up on FanDuel. What do you think tonight?
Yeah, so starting on FanDuel, I mean, on both sites, it's pretty clear for me. DeGrom at the top. He's kind of in a tier of his own, to be honest. Gets the best matchup against the Marlins. Love the K prop. I mean, he just has everything going for him. It's not a Coors slate, so there's not expensive bats that are priced up that we really need to get to. So I'm finding DeGrom very easy in cash on both sites and locking him in all formats and just moving on.
Is it that simple, Bingo?
Yeah. So on FanDuel, sure. DK, I mean, yeah, I think DeGrom is your favorite guy, but you can have a conversation. You can talk about, hey, like, are there reasons to fade DeGrom? Like, what do you think about maybe going a Dinelson, Lamet, and a Sonny Gray together? I think that's in the conversation. But I am team Jacob DeGrom. Like, if I was playing one lineup, I would be playing Jacob DeGrom everywhere. I just see him as the best option. Also, I don't want to ignore Clayton Kershaw. Sure, the San Francisco Giants have been hitting a lot better. I totally get that. But I don't think DeGrom is just guaranteed no matter what. Like, he's playing against, me and Titletown pitching. Like, if me and Titletown were throwing the ball, of course, you would never even touch us. But there are some competent arms on the mound today. I think DeGrom is my number one, though. He's my favorite pitcher of the slate, but there are other guys we can discuss.
Okay, so here's the next question for you then. Your main going the cash player. What about Travis, the GPP guy? What about pitching?
Oh, man. Yeah. So I guess the case can be made, like, let's say you wanted to stack up some really high bats, right? Like, let's say you wanted to get Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado. As you start plugging in some really expensive bats, Holden, it's hard to get Jacob DeGrom, right? You can make the case that home runs are worth more than those strikeouts at times. So currently right now, Travis is looking at playing, DeGrom. Like, he just wants to put him in there and call it a day, and then try to figure out what to do with SB2 still. Again, there are expensive stacks that are not easy to get to, and we'll kind of break that down. And as we get to the end of the slate, right, as we kind of go through it all, maybe we can touch back and figure out what we're exactly doing. Because I'll admit, with all the NBA and the stuff going on, I'm not as I'm not as caught up on baseball as I am normally. and trying my best to figure out how to navigate the slate because, yes, DeGrom is the best pitcher. There's really good options, but there's some good hitting options too that you want to go to.
All right, TT boy, let's do this. Looking at the top there. I mean, everybody's just going to go DeGrom tonight. That's it. Just lock him in and try and find some cheaper bats.
Well, so DeGrom, I think he's going to probably come. He's definitely going to be the highest owned pitcher. I think on Draftkings, tournaments, you could see him though at 50%, but that's what I want. And 50% sounds like a lot, but I'm so all in that half the field's already gone or dead. Obviously it's baseball, so it's not completely like that, but I do have a very strong stance, probably stronger than most. So DeGrom, I am locking in. I am more of a cash player too, but if you're 150 max, you don't need to lock in DeGrom because there is Clayton Kershaw, as Mango mentioned, or Travis, whatever one. San Fran has been hitting it better, but Kershaw's also looked better, has gotten more swings and misses, had a good outing last time. So I'm fine going there in tournaments. I like Lamet, as Mango mentioned. Right now I'm looking at him in SP2 for DK as well in cash. Just sticks out 8.6, a little too cheap. He has very good stuff, throws the ball hard. Just like his matchup a lot today. And then the last guy I'll mention, or last two guys, I guess, in the mid-range is Clevenger and Sonny Gray. I think they're 8-9 and 8-8. They're both good pitchers. Both have some strikeout stuff. The Twins are not an offense I love to target. And then for Gray, it's Milwaukee. So definitely a little risk in Milwaukee, as we know, with everything happening in the backyard. But we'll just keep an eye on that. But with other pitchers, that's another thing. Twins, because they're good offense, so Clevenger's a little tougher. Gray with the Milwaukee stuff. So it's really just leading me to DeGrom. But those are the other pitchers I'm looking at in the top range.
Well, you know what else is interesting, guys? And I'm looking at Clevenger. Clevenger coming into this year, I thought he was a Cy Young Award candidate. And he really didn't pitch well before the COVID thing. And then, they threw him out. They isolated him. He's coming back to get the start tonight against Minnesota, a team that we know can slug, but they're not as formidable as they were last year. But I'm just looking at some of the things from Clevenger. High walk rate, almost 15%. Fly ball, almost 43%. I love Clevenger, but is tonight the time to maybe dip a toe in the water there, Mangone? Can we do anything with Clevenger?
I'd rather just play Sonny Gray or Lamet. And honestly, I think Sonny Gray might be a better option than Lamet. That's a close one. I think it's tough. Obviously, yeah, of course, if the game gets canceled, yeah, you're screwed with Sonny Gray. So if there's merit to, you're too worried about that and Lamet's the tiebreaker, go to Lamet. But I think Sonny Gray, if you told me all the games are going to play and there was no issues at all, I would say Sonny Gray over Lamet and Clevenger. I just think he's a really good option to look at. If you're looking for a high upside guy that, maybe gets no ownership, could it be Jose Berrios? I think he's in the conversation. We know he has some good stuff. It's just that the matchup against Cleveland is not the sexiest. You're a little scared of that offense. It's been hitting the ball a lot better. But I don't love the mid-tier. There's some good options, I think, as SP2 for cash games. But if you're looking in tournaments, I see the route as if you're at SP2, if you want to play – I don't see myself at SP2 playing two mid-tier pitchers. I see maybe if I want to spend up on the bats, maybe try and get one of these cheap guys. The only problem is who is the cheap guy, right? So let's kind of talk about it because it's not the easiest. Taijuan Walker, very similar to Robbie Ray. What are these guys? They're guys that are they look a little bit washed right now. They're getting hit pretty hard, but they have strikeout stuff and upside. So you could take shots on them. But there's risk that's involved, and you have to love the bats that you're pairing around them, which currently I don't think I'm going to be going that route. But again, they do have upside. You can't tell me that they don't have upside. They have upside and they have downside, literally wide range of outcomes. Colby Allard, he's been a little bit better, but do I want to attack this Oakland offense? Not really. He's been better than I expected when I looked at some of the numbers. I was trying to say, hey, maybe I want to stack up Oakland a bit. He's had some decent spots, right? But the last two starts, they've both been negatives. He struggled. But even before that, against a team like the Angels, he had a 21 spot. Against the Giants, too, if he was this price, 6.8K and got you 10, you wouldn't hate it. So I don't think I'm going to go to Allard, though. I don't think it's necessary. Eliza Hernandez against the Mets. You can
Hold on, real quick. Allard's an option? You would even consider Allard tonight in that matchup?
It's a tournament thing, right? I'm trying to break them all down. I'm not saying I'm considering him. I'm just trying to walk through them all and say
you're doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, I'm trying to see hey, if we wanted to play a cheap pitcher, what could we do? What are the scenarios? Okay. I'm trying to go through the if-then statements of this if this could work. Allard, I don't think it's the greatest. I will say if you look some of the ISO numbers, I expected them to be higher and they haven't been as high. So I was surprised when I noticed that. Hernandez hasn't been bad. He's a guy I think you can definitely consider. I don't hate it. It's worth taking a shot on in tournaments, I think, if you want to go cheap. Then there's Gausman. Do you want to attack the Dodgers? Probably not. Like if I want to attack someone, Dodgers or Mets, I'd probably go with Hernandez if I took that shot. Then we go to John Gray. Like, all right, John Gray, he can have his stuff at times, but are you worried about the roof being open? Yeah, I have some concerns about that. Is Arizona the offense I want to attack with that implied total going up? Probably not. So I wouldn't go there. Michael Fulmer, no chance. So as we broke it down, there's 3 pitchers I'm seeing, I would say probably below 7.1K that you can consider. You can consider Taijuan Walker and Robbie Ray because they do have upside. You can tell me that they have downside. Yes, I agree, but they do have upside. There's just massive risk with taking them. I wouldn't take both of them together. I would maybe take one, and then I would take Eliza Hernandez. That's if you're doing something crazy in GPPs and you want to jam in the bats. I currently am not going to do that. That's not something I'm doing, but if you want to do that and you want to make a different build than other people and you want to leverage the field, that's a way I think you can do it. But I would prefer to pay for DeGrom and then maybe take an SP2 towards the top, which is kind of a chalkier build, and then get different with your bats. If you don't like that approach, you can play Jacob DeGrom and like an Eliza Hernandez, hope for a little bit of a pitching duel, and call it a day.
That was one of the great breakdowns you're going to see, Title. Good luck with that, buddy. Good luck getting on that there. But before you start with your breakdown, I do want you to talk about Sonny Gray just a little more. Gray was okay against the Brewers his first time out. He's still not getting love. You know, get him out of a major market, and he's one of the best pitchers in the league. Where do you sit on Sonny Gray tonight as a pivot to DeGrom?
Yeah, so the thing about Sonny Gray is we have that little concern, but just throwing that out there, even if it wasn't that concern, I still see DeGrom in his own class. We just saw the Brewers hit Bauer pretty well. I don't think that Brewers offense is really that bad. They got off to a very bad start, but Yelich is starting to turn it around here. They have some pieces. And Miller Park's just a hitter's park that you don't love targeting pitchers in that. So for all those reasons, that's why he's a tourney play only for me. And DeGrom definitely gets the edge. Definitely a great breakdown for Mango. And he's talked about all the pitchers. I only have a interest in a select few, so mine will be a lot shorter. Right here is Lamet, as we already mentioned, DeGrom. Those are the 2. And then Robbie Ray's as cheap as I will go. I guess John Gray in tournaments. But I still like part of the D-backs lineup. John Gray has not been himself, but the D-backs can struggle, and he's cheap enough at 6.2K. But Robbie Ray is the only other one that the cheapest I'll go at 6.9K, just because he has the strikeout stuff. Yes, we know it's not very fun to roster him against Colorado. At least they're on the road, but you do have to worry about Story and Arenado, because if it was in Coors, we already know they'd be chalk. So, and those are 2 of my favorite tournament plays because of that are going to come in at a 10th of the ownership as they would otherwise. So not a 10th, but you get what I'm saying. So pitchers is very select for you with Robbie Ray at 6.9K and then John Gray in tournaments at 6.2.
It's as simple as that. Guys, the Brewers are actually meeting here in a few minutes to figure out if they're going to play tonight. So I guess it's possible we'll figure out if the game is being played or not, but they are going to meet here pretty soon. The whole NBA slate has been wiped out. They said they're going to reschedule it, so, I mean, it's possible we have like 20 games tomorrow, but who knows? Who really knows? But we're going to keep an eye on this Brewers situation because it's very important to our DFS prospects. Anything else you guys want to talk about when it comes to pitchers, or we move on to the bats?
Well, I just want to mention one thing about just FanDuel and DraftKings specific. FanDuel included the 6:37 Eastern game with the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. You're probably about to mention that. So we'll just start there for bats. While DraftKings is not including that game. So whoever's playing on both sites or that, just know FanDuel starts earlier, and let's just do that for bats. Start there and just hit that quick for our FanDuel players.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you for that. Thank you for getting that.
Yeah, good call. I should fix my dummy lineup. I haven't fixed that yet. So if you haven't, changed your dummy lineup yet, go in and make sure there's no one in the early game. That way you can swap later. And one last thing I want to mention, someone brought up a really good point. I think it was G Risen. I saw him say it. If you had Garrett Cole last night, right? Like, let's say you just rostered Garrett Cole and you got screwed by it, but you were backloaded with all these bats. Like, just go out. Your team's dead, right? With Garrett Cole, you would assume. Just go out there and play a 1% stack so you can try and ship something. And we've seen things before. Like one guy, I forget, it was Ganondorf back in the day. He won a GPP with a pitcher getting like a negative or a 0. I mean, it happened before. It's not something that hasn't ever like not happened. So. take that shot, right? Like it's funny. I was looking at a team. I scrolled up. I saw, there's a team that had 144 DK points and it had a lot of innings left. And I said, let me look at it. And it was some dude with Garrett Cole. And I said, holy crap, he had Garrett Cole and he's got like 27 innings left. Like what's going on here? How is he able to do that with 144 fantasy points? It's because he just had like lone guys that were hitting bombs. So if anything wonky like that ever happens, let's say you play Sonny Gray today and you take a shot and then you get a 0 because of it, because they cancel the game. Just if you have an ability to go to some lower owned bats, go to those like 1% owned bats and just hope they can get you home.
So what you're saying is don't play a pitcher tonight.
Well, I'm saying probably just play Jacob deGrom. Let's be real. Like I'm not fading him. It doesn't. At least it looks like right now. Yeah, just go to deGrom. Call it a day.
DeGrom against the Marlins. We'll see if anybody doesn't like that because DeGrom's going against the Marlins. Merriweather. Let's see here. The Red Sox tonight are facing the Toronto bullpen, basically. They're facing everybody. They're not unaffordable whatsoever, and it doesn't look like there's going to be too much ownership on the Red Sox side title, and then with the Toronto side, again, it's not like we're going to be seeing top shelf pitching here in this game. As a matter of fact, Colton Brewer is going to come out, and he got up to 4 innings in his last start. Not a guy that's really going to rack up any strikeouts or anything. Title, I love the way these Blue Jays bats have been going so far, and I wonder if you're looking that direction tonight.
Yeah, so this is actually one of my top offenses on the whole slate. So I'm really glad FanDuel did add them. It's going to be tough to avoid. They do start early, but we'll just start with the Red Sox. I mean, Rafael Devers on FanDuel, 3.2K. That just feels way too cheap. Verdugo in the 1 hole under 3K. JD's not even over 4K yet. I mean, they're all cheap enough where you can even get them with DeGrom. It's an offense I want to target, so I'm going to be looking there in cash games and tournaments. And then I'd like this point for if some people play both sites, like a lot of the Sharks and stuff, and the ownership, people are going to not look at, or like the casuals, or some people aren't going to look at FanDuel and see that, oh, they have an extra game on the slate. They start at 537. They're just going to make a dummy lineup, forget about it, maybe even have someone locked, but because they want to like stack the same teams on both sites. So I think their ownership is going to be lower than it should because of that, which makes me even like it more. And then we'll go to the Blue Jays side, and I like the Blue Jays side even more than the Red Sox side, actually. Travis Shaw in the 3 hole at 2.5K is way too cheap. I like Biggio. He's getting expensive, but he's a great tournament play. Grushak, Vlad. I like the top of the order in this lineup for sure. And this is my favorite game to target. Tournaments, love it on FanDuel. Wish DraftKings had it, but yeah, I'm all in on this game.
All in.
Not all in Vegas. I should say that, but I mean, it is my favorite game stack.
Travis, Mangone, how all in are you?
I mean, it's definitely a good spot. TItletown, do you have the weather update on that game? Do we know? I see like there could be some issues with that game. Do you know how that's going to look?
I was going to look, I'm glad you brought that up because when I looked earlier, I thought that it should be able to play. I'll look more recent with NBA, with everything going on. I haven't had a chance to get back to that. I'm glad so when you're talking about it, I'll look right now.
Yeah. So basically,
sounds like it's a disaster.
I got the weather.gov. It does not look good.
Oh, well, then that ruins. Yeah, I mean, I didn't look, and I looked this morning, and then I didn't look with all the NBA stuff. So I'm glad you guys brought that up. I guess we can just move on, and there goes my favorite. Yeah,
I mean, they're good. They're good plays, right? Like, obviously monitor the weather. It's a good game to obviously get exposure to. You just have to decide if it's your risk. If you want to take it with your risk tolerance, I'm going to just probably fade it. Not that I don't like it, but I could probably also use that extra 30 minutes to figure out my lineup. So that it's just going to be a stay away for me.
Yep. Sink it. That's it. Stick a fork in it. But again, if you do want to take a shot, there you go. It's going to be very low. we can guarantee some low ownership.
There's one more game too. The Rays and Orioles game is another one too that's on the early slate as well. All right, TItletown?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. And I've got this is one that I think might surprisingly have some runs in it. You got Trevor Richards, who, is a 3-4 inning guy, doesn't strike many guys out, likes to put a couple base runners on. He hasn't been very impressive whatsoever. And you could have your own feeling on what the Orioles bats are, but nobody's going to be on the Orioles tonight. That to me is something to at least look at. On the other side, Asher Wojciechowski up against this Tampa Bay team, which is another another team that I think is actually going to get some ownership just because of who they're facing on the other side, Mangone. I mean, do you have any lean in this game? And are you with me or against me on the runs being scored?
Yeah, I think runs will be scored, and I think it'll be scored on the Rays side. Like, listen, this is the side I want to look at a ton. I like those lefties there a bit. Problem is the park, right? Like, I don't love playing Tampa Bay. That's the issue. The park is not the greatest. So I think it take guys as one-offs, maybe like a Meadows, a Lau, a Wendell, a Choi. But that's it. I don't love playing Tampa when they're in that park. I think some runs will be scored if you want to, do some 5-2-1s, some 4-3-1s, or a 4-1-1-1-1. Like, sure, mixing in a Ray here and there is perfectly fine, but I don't want to go too crazy with the Rays. I like some of these guys at the top, but just as one-offs mainly.
Okay, how about you, Title?
Yeah, so I like some of these Rays as well. The Meadows sticks out as a very good play. Just absolutely crushes the ball. Woj isn't good against lefties like Meadows, hits the ball in the air. So sign me up. Low bat in second. And then Choi is just too cheap on FanDuel at 2.5K batting fourth. That's someone that's definitely going to stick out and makes DeGrom pretty easy. And then I do like a little of these Baltimore bats because I think they're going to be 1% owned because they're not on the DraftKings slate or something like that. Or they're not on the DraftKings slate, so that's why I think they're going to be 1%, 2%, something like that. Santander, Nuno, Cisco, I like those guys. Or Mullins up top too for a stolen base upside. I'm going to leave out Alberto right now, but I mean, Santander has just been crushing the baseball. I feel like every time I'm looking at my phone, it's MLB home run alert from Santander. So I'm going to, tournaments, if you're at 150 or 150, two lineups in the 150 max or whatever it is for $3.33 to win 50K. Orioles are probably the team that you want to stack because we've seen them go off and they're not going to be owned.
All right, very good. Let's move on to the next game. Oh, by the way, we are at, about 50 likes right now? Let's get to 115. 115 before the top of the hour. You can do it. Just hit the like button. If we get to 115, Run Pure Sports swag for one of you. It'll be amazing. Trust me. So we move on to the Mets and the Marlins. We've already talked about Jacob deGrom. Guys, if you want to get really, really crazy, is there like one bat from this Miami side that we can even look at? Just one. Or is it just a complete fade? Let's not even bother going down this lineup.
Corey Dickerson.
Corey Dickerson's your guy?
Yep.
All right, very good.
I mean, I personally don't really do it, but I know JT. Shout out to JT because he just won 100K, and I've been picking his brain and stuff. He sometimes likes doing where you set a limit or a rule that you can have one player against your pitcher because it makes you unique pretty much right away. No one's gonna do that against DeGrom, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if DeGrom lets up a solo shot or two. So, and you want to pick those off. So, shout out to JT. That's something he does in baseball. Feels weird, but I mean, you don't always expect your pitcher to go give up no earned runs and no hits or whatever. So it's definitely viable, and he'd be the only one.
Yeah, and how about you, Mangone? Looking at the Marlins, would you even bother throwing one in your lineup and then just get to the other side with the Mets?
Yeah, no Marlins for me. I get like the thought process. I don't hate it, but not for me. DeGrom's not really that guy that like gives up like the home run. Like Garrett Cole does that a little bit more. I don't worry about DeGrom with that as much. On the other side, the Mets, like, I don't know. I just think I like other stacks today. Maybe that's a bad take. I get it. Like the lefties are always in play. Nemo, Conforto, Dom Smith, he's hitting the ball well. And these guys they're cheap enough where I think you can make it work. I just prefer other routes, I think, today. I don't hate the Mets stack. I think it's in play. It's in the conversation, but I prefer other ways to go.
Okay, very good. We'll move on to the next one. Everybody loves DeGrom. That's where we're going. Cubbies at Detroit. And a lot of people love to pick on Mr. Fulmer, Michael Fulmer. I mean, why not? You know, he's lasted 2 or 3 innings, and he's given up some runs. So what was it last start? He was out there 5 runs in, I think, 2 innings, 3 innings. He's just been getting shelled. The Cubs are going to be super popular tonight again, aren't they? Like, where do we want to attack in this lineup, Title? Let's start with you on the Cubs.
Yeah, so I think the Cubs are going to be popular, both sites especially. They have Fulmer's not good. It's no secret. Cubs have been chalky pretty recently. Prices haven't gone up too much, so I'm going to go right back to the well. I like the top of the order. That's especially who I prioritize with Happ, Rizzo, Baez, Schwarber. Those are my favorite 4. But this is a lineup. I like the lineup they did put out. Even Kipnis in the 8-hole. In tournaments, I think because the Cubs are going to be so chalky, 95% of the concentration is going to go for ownership's going to go up top. So a Cubs stack down low for sure with a couple of the guys I really do like, because I think they're going to be on base and the bottom of the order is going to have RBI opportunities and they could absolutely blow up against Fulmer. And then going to the other side, I actually like the Tigers a lot too for a very sneaky stack. They're pretty much free on DraftKings. Reyes 2.8, Miguel Cabrera 2.7, Candelario 3.5. With DeGrom and other spots and me liking paying up at pitching, I'm finding myself having some Detroit bats. And I like it. So Lester's someone I do like picking on. He finally got blown up against the White Sox. He's been very lucky. So I like the Tigers a lot for a low owned play and very cheap.
I think that's a really interesting call, Title. And you go and look at what Lester has done. The peripherals, the numbers were not great coming into the last two starts. Then the last two starts he's looked horrible, and he's been completely hittable. We'll see if that carries on tonight. People love to fade the Tigers. They're afraid of them. Go look at some of the run totals they put up recently. They got some bats. I mean, they're not consistent, but they have nights. Mangone, both sides in this game. Where are you interested?
Oh man, of course, Mangone in cash games has some interest in this game, but Travis is like, man, can we go somewhere else? I just think the Cubs could get some ownership, right? But
Tigers,
it's tough. I mean, the problem is they're too cheap, right? And they fit the Jacob deGrom build, but people are going to do that, right? They're gonna go to the cheap guys against Lester. You can make your lineup unique. I mean, I would assume they get some exposure to him, right?
I mean,
what do you think about that, Title?
I mean, it's probably 15%. I don't see any team really being maybe 20%, maybe it's couple bats here and there. I don't think they'll be too chalky where I have to get off, but I think they're going to have some. Probably not. Yeah, I don't see them 5-6%.
All right. Well, so Title, if you play Jacob deGrom, right, and you play an expensive pitcher, you play Sonny Gray, you play Dillinson Lamet, what's the stack that people are doing with it? Tell me now. Is it the Tigers?
Yeah, I don't think people are going to be paying up as SP2 as much as we think. I don't think Kershaw and the top two. I think Lamet and stuff. And I think there's enough value on other teams. If you want a full stack, yes, I think it's the Tigers. But I think people are going to try and one off a couple because there's not obvious spots, if that makes sense.
Don't you look at the Rays too, Mangone? I mean, you already talked about him. You liked him. That's an affordable stack.
I just hate the park. I'm such a park guy. That's the only issue for me. I wish it was in Baltimore. Man, I'd be all over it, and that total would probably be 5-4.
Well, it's not on the DraftKings slate either.
No,
so
yeah, that's true. But I just don't know. I feel like the Tigers in Cubs game, I just feel like it's getting more ownership than I would want in tournaments. That I'm considering staying away a bit, unless maybe someone I'll admit if I hop in and I'm looking at the core plays and I see big T's on it, man, I might think about it a little bit more for sure. That's definitely something that I'll be looking at and checking to see what big T's looking at for his core plays. But I opened up some of cash game stuff and I just see some Cubs in there. I see some Tigers getting mixed in, and I think it's a good spot to attack. I think if you are going to attack it in tournaments, you need to figure out how am I going to attack it to be different. That's what I would definitely be doing. I'd be looking at an Austin Romine at the bottom of the lineup of the Tigers lineup. I'd be looking at a Cameron Maybin. And I'd be going over to the Cubs lineup and be trying to say, who's the guy? I think Jason Kipnis was a great call. I think he's a guy that can definitely get a hold of a bad righty and take advantage of him instead of going to a Bodie, going to Hayward and Almora. So if I'm going to play the Cubs, if I'm going to play the Tigers in tournaments, I'm going to find ways to definitely be different or unique with my build. And then in cash games, I think a lot of these guys are in play, the Rizzos, the Schwarbers, all the guys at the top of the lineups. They're all value plays that make a ton of sense.
Oh, I guarantee Big T's on the Tigers. That's a Big T special. I mean, Big T's been crushing baseball too. You already know though, it's going to be a DeGrom, Kershaw, Tigers with a little Jackie Bradley Jr.
I mean, how do you play Jonathan Scope when you have to play Wilmer Flores?
He'll find the other Tigers with the little righties on San Fran, a little Jackie Bradley Jr. So that's Big T's forte is MO, and he's been crushing baseball. So. Definitely don't change that. So I'll be looking at his core plays as well. I like playing a couple tourney lineups, and I'm a cash player, so my brain doesn't always work that way.
All right, guys, we got Minnesota at Cleveland, and again, it's Mike Clevenger coming back off the quarantine, the COVID list, whatever you want to call it, going up against the Minnesota team that has not been as deadly at the plate as they were last year. That being said, Clevenger isn't the guy that I thought he'd be. I really thought he was going to be right there with Bieber. This was his breakout year with Bieber, and it hasn't happened for a couple of different reasons. It's a very small sample, but would either one of you guys attack Clevenger tonight, given that he has a pretty nasty arsenal? He has walked some guys, Title. You going to look that way?
Yeah, no. I think you brought up the point that I want to make earlier about Clevenger too. The sample size just isn't big enough for me at this year for me to write him off. I think he's a better pitcher than we've seen this year because I agree with you last year. I mean, I wasn't quite sure Cy Young, but I agreed with you where his stuff was filthy. I mean, he had outings where he just missed all the bats in the world and looked like a possible Cy Young candidate if he kept going that way. So I'm not buying. It's too little of a sample size. I'm still going to buy into his talent. I could be completely wrong, but you got to make your stands. And I like looking at longer term data. So I'm not picking on anyone in this game, and I'm going to have some Clevenger in tournaments.
How about you, Mangone? Would you consider Clevenger? We already talked about pitching, but how do you handle the Minnesota side of this slate?
Yeah, Minnesota's tough. I mean, of course I see Clevenger there, and I like, man, I don't know what to do. But Minnesota, you said this before, they're not the same offense, but they still have some power and pop. I just think it's a stay away spot today. I think we'll get to some spots later that we'll talk about, and I'll probably like a little bit more. But I don't think Clevenger's the guy I want to attack. I think there's worse pitchers on the slate that we can attack later on. And same on the Cleveland side. Like, I'm just kind of writing this game off. Not
same
really
with the other side. How about you, TT? Same thing?
Yep, same thing.
All right, cool. Let's go. I mean, we're not going to screw around if we're not playing, guys. Then you got Oakland and Texas. Texas has been an interesting place. Doesn't seem like they score a lot of runs there. You kind of brought up Allard Mangone as just a deep GPP play there. I actually kind of like what's going on with these bats tonight for the A's. And Marcus Semien, my God, he won me a little bit of money last night. Oh, by the way, how big of a jabroni do you have to be to not cash in a tournament with Lucas Giolito on your team in FanDuel? How big?
Yeah,
my Lucas Giolito lineup did not cash.
I didn't cash on Draftkings. I just bubbled with Lucas Giolito, so I'm right there with you, Holden.
I don't remember the other pitcher I had that did catch, but I definitely did not cash with Giolito. I mean, some of the Oakland stack actually worked out pretty well. But Mangone, Allard against this Oakland team, and then on the other side, Mike Fiers. He doesn't like to win ball games either. He's not very happy. But this Texas offense is just hot trash. So give me a rundown.
Yeah, I mean, is this the snitches get stitches spot? Are we going to stack against Fiers here? Is it possible? Can we get this done here, Holden?
I'm not doing it.
So is the roof open? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I'm big on like weather in baseball. I looked, I can't find it. So if the roof is open, I'm probably more interested in the Rangers. I know it's it feels like a terrible take or terrible analysis, but it's just like it's just the truth. The Rangers, they're a team that they can strike out a ton, but they can get a hold of Fiers. And if they do, and Fiers just having a bad day, let's say he's throwing meatballs across the plate. Texas can hit the ball far enough. Like, they have some guys in that lineup that can get the job done. If you look, right, Sin-Shu Chu, he's a guy that's obviously a pretty good hitter. You got Joey Gallo, who can obviously crush the ball. Even Derek Dietrich, I mean, he's not a bad option. Solak has shown some power. I don't know a ton about him, but it seems like he's got some more power and pop than I knew of. So, and then Big T's boy, Santana, up at the top has been playing, playing pretty well. So ultimately, Fiers too. If you look at the numbers just on this season alone, just this season, I mean, the ISO, he's getting up above 200 on both sides of the plate. The hard hit rates, I mean, it's really rough. He's been getting destroyed. You also look at some of the K percentages. I mean, it is low. His xFIP, 6.5. Like, Fiers can get blown up. So Texas is like a deep GPP call. Like, I don't hate it. Like, it's something, it's in the conversation. And if you're looking for a team like that is going to be low owned, I think Texas could be it. Like, I really don't hate the idea of doing it and stacking up against Fiers a bit. And then on the other side, again, Allard, he's a guy you can easily stack against. He's a lefty. I want to attack with the Oakland righties. And when I do it with the righties, it's those guys at the top, right? It's Chapman. It's guys like Canna. It's Marcus Semien, Piscotty, Laureano, even Chris Davis for the K. I mean, there's tons of guys in this lineup that you can go to. Sean Murphy, JT's boy, he's shown a little bit of power and pop. And hey, don't feel like you can't play Matt Olson as a lefty against another lefty,
exactly
right?
What it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a way to just be unique within your build. So like both sides of this game more than I expected. And again, at 10 total, I want to know about the weather though, big time.
Do you see that 8 right-handers in the lineup against Allard tonight, and the one lefty in Olsen is the guy that could crush left-handers? Title, what do you think of Mangone's thoughts on Texas, and how invested in Oakland will you be tonight, if at all?
Yeah, so we'll start with Texas, definitely the less popular side of this game. And I like what Mango mentioned. I like the lefties. I'm not going to full stack them, but Chu, Santana, and Gallo definitely stick out as my 3 favorites. Then going down, I also like Derek Dietrich too in the 7 hole as a lefty. Yeah, good, very low owned. Little sneak peek. That might be my little low owned dong of the day, but gets the ball in the air, has a lot of power. So I do like these lefties against fires, but those are the only 4 that I can really make a case for and will have any of, and that's just a sprinkle or a mini stack. And then going to Oakland, I like them a lot. I did the playbook today over at Run Pure Sports, so if you haven't seen it, check it out. And I mentioned Oakland, and they just crush lefties, have a bunch of righty power. And I made sure to mention Matt Olson, as you mentioned. He hits lefties very well, still has a very good fly ball rate, and everyone just seems to leave him off. So don't leave off Matt Olson. You can play 1 through 7, and what I wrote up. Not going to really touch 8 through 9, but we all know what Chris Davis can do, his upside. So 1 through 7, love Oakland, stack them multiple different ways, and I definitely think they're going to be one of the top offenses on the slate.
All right, very good. They'll be out there. Again, we are waiting for word as to whether or not the Brewers are going to play tonight. Apparently, the meeting is going on right now after the NBA just canceled their whole slate today. The NBA guys are going to be meeting to see if they're going to play any more of the playoffs. But for baseball DFS purposes, the Brewers are meeting right now, and we're going to find out if they're going to play a game tonight.
And that game's not a huge. I mean, like, we don't need any pieces of that game for
Let's
everyone.
talk about it.
I'm glad you brought it up. I'm just saying for other people with, like, if you don't have like risk tolerance, if you don't want to, if you had Cole yesterday, or like, if you're not okay with losing your entry fees, then just don't risk it. I mean, they're all tournament plays. I'm glad you brought it up though, but if you're the other way where you're risk and reward and you want very low ownership, I mean, that way too. I don't know if it'll be announced before lock or whatever. There's late swap, but I just wanted to bring that up. You have to bring it up. So sorry for interrupting, Holden. It's just, your risk reward.
I interrupt you guys all the time. I mean, you need to be interrupted, but that's fine. But in all seriousness, look at this. Here we go. Sonny Gray, great matchup. The only 2 guys. There's 3 guys in this lineup. I feel like I talk about them all the time. Yelich here and Smoke, and Yelich just in. I don't know what's going on with Yelich this year. And then do you want to attack Adrian Hauser, who's actually been spectacular this year? 70% ground ball rate. Okay, I get it. It's a small sample and everything. Super small sample.
Too big of a slate.
Yeah, it's too big of a slate to even consider him, huh?
Consider anyone but Gray, in my opinion.
Okay, and what about Cincinnati hitters, though? Because they're going up against a guy that throws ground balls more than half the time.
Yep, fade.
Mangone?
Yeah, real quick, I want to address something in the chat. Guys, like, people are saying, don't we have to talk about if one team boycotts another does, like, because they're part of a union? Like, we don't know. Like, we're here not to talk about politics and who's going to boycott and who's not going to play. We have no idea. We're just going to break down the games, and when the news comes, we kind of figure it out as it goes. So we're just going to talk about the games like they're all playing.
We'll be in Discord breaking all that stuff down if you guys aren't over there. So we're always in Discord and getting the news out. We know as much as you guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, if we get word, we'll talk about it in the Discord and say how we're approaching something, right? If we get news on something there. Holden.
That kind of reminds me, everybody. First of all, we're back here. We got 72 likes. We need 115 in the next 20 minutes or so for somebody to get free swag. If not, you're not getting any Run Pure swag today. We need an online shop. That's what we need. This stuff is so comfy. I worked out at it today. I looked so sexy. It was amazing. And then
Holden, you can confirm that Big T got the good stuff, right? I wasn't lying, right?
This is from JJ, but I think it's the same thing, right? Like, Big T owns the whole.
It looks like the same
stuff. So
stuff.
nice. Yeah. You want me to show you a nipple? Look at this.
Look at that. Yeah, I got the Run Pure Bet shirt too, so I love it. It's a nice one.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with this stuff. I recommend you hit like. Then the other thing is, I also recommend you get in the Discord, okay? For those of you that are already signed up, our deal is only lasting until the 31st, and that's like 20 a week, 60 for the month. So that's it. This thing is coming to an end here very soon. And if you have not subscribed yet, I recommend you do get in the Discord, because Title and Mangone, and you'll see JSU, and you'll see all the guys that are in the Discord. They're going to answer your questions like one-on-one. So you got a question, tag them in the Discord, and they're going to help you out. All right, back to the slate, gentlemen. And we're going to move on to Kansas City at St. Louis. St. Louis, a popular stack yesterday. Daniel Hudson going today. Hudson has really struggled to this point. He's got an 11% K rate. That has, over the last couple of seasons, that has not been good. But it has really increased this year. He's up to 25%. Again, very small sample. And as I always do with these Royals, I think Hunter Dozier's in play. On the other side, Jacob Junis. How badly are we attacking Junis tonight, Travis?
Yeah, so I like to attack Junis, but man, I'm definitely semi-tilted that I didn't get the best of Harvey. Like, sure, I got some of it, but not what I wanted, right? I wanted 10 runs, Holden. I didn't get all of them I wanted there. But Junis is definitely someone to attack, someone to target a little bit with these lefties. Let's get Matt Carpenter in the lineup, right? Matt Carpenter, now that he's going to be back in there, that'll obviously be something that I want to attack. I want to mess with. I know that Junis, I'm trying to pull up his numbers, and I'm stalling a bit. Just want to see his numbers against righties versus lefties. And righties, it's a little bit worse, which I thought was correct, but still has his struggles against lefties if you look at last year's sample as well. So I think you can take a shot on the Cardinals. I think they're a good play today. There might be some like maybe I like Texas a little bit more. As like it depends on ownership, right? I do think some of these Cardinals guys are going to be good cash game plays, right? I think Colton Wong's a good cash game play at second base where he's super cheap. I think going to a guy like Tommy Edman, who's super safe, right? He may not be a guy that's hitting you a home run, but he's a great contact hitter against a guy like Junis, who I'm not too worried about getting all the swings and misses. So I think he could be an interesting option. Matt Carpenter on a site like a FanDuel where he's just too cheap. As long as you think you have as long as you think that at third base, he's the right guy that fits in there, you don't want to spend up there, he could be a good option. So there's a lot of different routes that you can go. The Cardinals are in play. They're probably in my, group of stacks. If I'm building 150 teams, I would want to consider, and they're in the conversation for being on my main GVP team. I don't know if they will be my main team, but I think they're in the conversation for sure.
Title, who's in the conversation here?
Yeah, so I saw the Cardinals lineup. I don't know how long it came out, but Carpenter's not in the lineup. Just wanted to throw that out. Wong's pretty much the only one that really stands out because of his price, especially in cash games. He just makes sense. He's 3.3K batting leadoff. I like attacking Junis. I really just don't like this Cardinals offense that much. So it's not a full stacking spot. I'm gonna target probably lower than them on most, but I mean Edman and Wong are my favorites. DeJong and Goldschmidt are a little more expensive, and me wanting to pay up for pitchers, I haven't landed on them. So it's mainly gonna be Wong as a one-off, who's just too cheap. And then no interest on the Royals really. But I will give you credit for that Soler Dozier call. Last time I was on the show with you, you liked the mini stack a little bit. And I think they might have both homered her. I don't know, but I forgot about that. Wanted to give you some.
Nobody owns them. They're 1 to 3% every single night, it seems like. But Mangone helped me. That one lineup that did, I only played a couple of lineups. I was supposed to play 4. I only played 2. But the one lineup that did cash had Tommy Edman, and that was Mangone. That was actually Travis's recommendation yesterday, and Edman had a nice little game. It was okay, but that's
what he's giving you, Holden, right? Like you're not getting like if Tommy Edman hits a homer, like you're not like you're more shocked than you're not like, oh yeah, that's what he does. Jose Abreu hits a homer, you're like, okay, it's a day that ends in Y. Tommy Edman, not a guy I'm expecting to hit the home run, but he's a nice safe guy that can kind of get you there. So I don't mind him. I will say the one thing about the Cardinals I want to mention is like, man, I don't have like a strong take. I'm not like, yeah, man, like Tyler O'Neill over Dexter Fowler, no doubt in my mind. Like all these guys are kind of similar where it's like I kind of prefer to see like maybe prioritize my other bats and then like see which Cardinals kind of mix and match and maybe even just go for lower owned Cardinals because I don't see much of a difference between these guys.
Yeah, and we had a question in the chat. What do you guys think of Cam Gallagher? Is he in play? I mean, it's $2,000. It's the ultimate punt, but
yeah, no. If you,
I don't know if I do that on FanDuel. I don't. Definitely. I don't know, man.
Not on FanDuel. DraftKings, it makes sense. Like I'm always down in cash games. I think punting a position is perfectly fine, especially a bad one like catcher. If it helps you get the things that you want, it just really depends on your lineup construction. I'm not going to go out here and say Cam Gallagher, number 1 catcher of the day, but if you have strong convictions on other guys that you think are priority spends in your lineups and Cam Gallagher helps make it happen, he's part of the recipe, right? Sometimes that little bit of extra, sauce in the, cooking, Holden can be the difference in making the meal a little bit better. So maybe Cam Gallagher helps make it a little better.
All right. Here's the deal. San Diego and Seattle. We only have 3 games left, guys, and you're 25 short of getting some free Run Pure gear. So all you got to do is hit the like button. We get to 115, 115, you get it. Title, the Padres. I don't know how popular they're going to be. I was looking at the playbook, and I saw that you mentioned them against Taijuan Walker. What's your confidence level that Taijuan Walker is going to get shelled tonight?
Yeah, shelled, not very confident. The reason why I like the Padres have some interest is I like this lineup. I do. I mean, Tatis is just a complete stud. And if I'm stacking the Padres, I'm going to play Tatis. There's no way I'm fading him. Grissom, I like up top as well. I think I haven't seen the lineup confirmed. Have you guys? I see the projected one.
No, I don't know.
It's not out yet. So I Grissom, I like Hosmer if he makes it. Machado, Will Myers a little bit. Cronensworth, if he does make the lineup, I like him a little bit as well. I don't love the full stack as much. I like the Grissom Tatis mini stack is my favorite, though. I'm not really confident that they absolutely shell Walker. I don't think he's terrible, but definitely will. If you're making multiple lineups, have some full Padre stacks because when they get rolling, that offense is deadly and hits a lot of home runs.
The fathers. What about the other side, Mangone? And do you like the Padres tonight against Walker? It gives me a little hesitation, to be honest with you. He's just so Jekyll. That whole rotation, to tell you the truth. Justice Sheffield, this guy, all these guys.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a little bit dicey, right? Like, you're like, okay, so Taijuan Walker has the upside, but he can also get shelled. He has more of his problems with lefties, too, and you're like, okay, well, let me just play the lefties. And it's like, oh, wait, I'm not going to not play Tatis and Machado. Like, that sounds dumb. So, I think, honestly, my 3 favorites, if I was, like, stacking them up and doing it real quick, I'd be like, I want Grisham, I want Tatis, I want Machado. I think I want Hosmer, unless I value the first base position. Like, you could say, hey, like, most people in their Padres stacks, they want the cleanup hitter. And you could easily just put, like, Big T always talks about this. Like, don't play, like, the cleanup hitter in the Padres lineup and play another first baseman that's, like, really good. You can easily play. There's tons of good first basemen always to play. So you could go, instead of going Hosmer, you can go someone else. You can go like a Jake Cronenworth, who's been pretty good. And then you can go like a Josh Naylor, right, towards the bottom of the order. I mean, he's not like the worst play in the world. He's like a salary relief type of play. And if you're jamming in those, if you're jamming in those pitchers and those bats, Machado and Tatis, they're a bit expensive. So Padres are a really good stack. They're one I'm definitely considering on this slate and liking a bit. So definitely interested there. And then on the Mariners side, like I get it. I understand the reason to maybe have some interest. Their bats have been a little bit hot when they're swinging well. They can hit the ball far. I believe Ryan, our producer, he was like all over it yesterday. He talked about maybe stacking up against Paddock. I think he was talking in the Discord chat with some people about that. And I believe Kay Felick, I'm probably butchering his name, Big T's friend, Kay Felick, he won 100K with the Seattle Mariners yesterday. If I'm wrong, maybe chat can let me know. But hey, they did him well. Maybe go in the Discord chat and send him a message, right? Hit him with an app. Be like, man, you're on fire. What are you thinking of Seattle today? Maybe he can give you the secret sauce on that one. But I don't think it's a Seattle day for me. I'd rather go to the Padres and more so the guys I kind of talked about.
All right, guys. Again, 2 more games to get to. Then we got stacks, we got home runs, and we are 16 away now. We're getting close. 16 away from one of you winning some free swaggage. Colorado, Arizona. John Gray. One of you guys mentioned John Gray as a tournament option, maybe, but Arizona figures to be extremely high owned this evening, going up against the Mercurial Gray. And then the Colorado side, Robbie Ray. Doesn't everybody just throw in a opposite team going against Robbie Ray lineup every night? It's like, just in case this is the night that it goes down. I'm not going to do that tonight, but Title, you're shaking your head. Yes.
It's always
targeting Robbie Ray tonight.
I mean, the Arenado story mini stacks. I see it very low owned. If they were in Coors, they'd be cash locks. So just because of the ballpark, I'm not going to not play them. So that is probably my favorite mini stack on the slate with ownership. And I did mention John Gray. And the reason I mentioned John Gray was because you mentioned D-backs should be chalky, should be pretty popular. John Gray last year, I played John Gray sometimes last year. He did manage he struck out some guys. He has some outings. And that's the sample size, the long-term stuff that's the only reason I'm going to have a little bit with. He's too cheap. I'm going to, hopefully he can give me a decent performance. but that doesn't mean I'm not going to have any of the D-backs, because I do like this D-backs order. Calhoun, Marte, Starling Marte, Peralta, Walker, Escobar. That's a solid lineup. 1 through 5 is my favorite. Kind of leaving off Escobar. Cole Calhoun and Kettle Marte are my favorites, but I'm gonna play a little bit of both sides of this game. So if that makes sense, and you can do that in baseball, because if we mentioned, I mean, if you're rostering a cheap pitcher and he gets destroyed, that's what you're expecting. You already have D-backs lineups, and if a cheap or low-owned John Gray somehow shuts him out, you have a late night hammer in John Gray that you're just creeping up tournaments. So I like both sides of this a little bit with, and then for Rockies, Arenado and Story.
Yeah, Mangone, listen, the Colorado offense has not been good, but Robbie Ray has just gotten even worse this year. He's walking 20% of his batters. His xFIP's basically 7. Now, he's still striking guys out. He's over 25% strikeout rate, but he's getting hit hard. I mean, Robbie Ray, we talk about all these other guys that are not good pitchers. There are nights when Robbie Ray is the worst pitcher on the slate. There's been nights when he's the best, but there's no pitcher on this slate with a wider range of outcomes than this left-hander.
Yeah, I will say this, Holden. Like, there was a time where, and even like recently, like I still think Robbie Ray isn't that bad, man. Like, I know it's been bad. It's been really bad, and it's DFS though, right? Like, we want to target. We don't care what Robbie Ray is going to do in 2 months. We don't care what he's going to do in 6 months. So we probably do want to target him a bit, right? With these righties. Even if Robbie Ray does, let's say Robbie Ray threw 8 strikeouts tonight, right, and had a good game. I wouldn't like TItletown mentioned it earlier about a way to be different. He said, "Oh, you get Jacob deGrom and Corey Dickerson." I would rather do it with Robbie Ray and Trevor Story, right? Like that'd be a more optimal route for me. If I see that as a more likely outcome than the other one that he mentioned for obvious reasons, though. But yeah, Robbie Ray, I want to stack against him a little bit. I think I want to do it though with just like a 3-man. I don't think I want to 5-man it. Maybe my thoughts could change when I get off air. But maybe Big T could talk me on it. Maybe he's putting in his core plan. I go, maybe he's right about that. But those guys are kind of expensive. That's the one thing. And one thing you can do if you're going to play the Rockies, and if you have the money to spend, which again, I don't know how much of the money you have to spend today. That's the one problem. Charlie Blackmon, I should pull up his BVP right now. I remember seeing it. It was absurd what he has done against Robbie Ray. Like the numbers were. Yeah, I don't mind some. I don't mind BVP. Yeah, I don't mind a little BVP.
I'm not a BVP. I mean, you also got to remember a lot of that is in Coors too, so stats are a little.
Okay, but we're playing in 107-degree weather, right? Today.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But that's no.
Okay. Well,
no, I like
it doesn't matter at all.
Every time there's a good pitcher and the roof is open, the good pitcher is better than the weather. Go look back at what Dinelson Lamet. You guys are like, I don't touch it. The roof's open. I'm not worried. That's the one place I'm not worried about it.
Oh wait, but he's not
the roof's open. It hasn't paid off lately.
But he might not be a good pitcher. I mean, that's just the thing. It's like we're acting like he is. He might not be. Listen, I like to be I definitely like Robbie Ray more than most. But dude, the numbers are there. You're BVP, dude. He's at 50 at bats against him. What do you want? 1,000 at bats? You want to be here till we're 60? I mean, come on.
Many? I'm curious to see how many of those are at Coors.
I don't know, but like,
I get what you're saying.
If I tell you the other way, what are you going to say to me? You're going to be like, "Oh, it's a small sample." I mean,
I'm just not a BV. I mean, some guys are BVPs, some aren't. Just stick with your process. I like the tournament call, and I like how you mentioned that was just a little argument against that, or how I don't think those numbers mean everything for the whole picture. That's what I was just trying to say.
Oh yeah. Oh, listen, trust me, I'm not leading with that. But I think it breaks tiebreakers. I think it's interesting at times. And one reason BVP exists is because if you look at the pitch types they throw, and obviously they can change, right? One thing to look at is you can look over, let's say a pitcher pitches for 3 years. Okay. If the pitcher pitches for 3 years and they change their pitch type up, like a great example is Darvish is mixing his pitches a lot different this year. And one reason I was like a little hesitant to stack up the White Sox was because of how he'd been mixing his pitches a little bit better. And I looked at the pitch types that were thrown, and there were some pitches that the White Sox struggled with a little bit. But I wanted to ride the hot offense, and they treated me well. That was one thing I had noticed. And it didn't end up panning out, which is fine. But looking at pitch types and what they threw and what they don't, I think that plays into the equation as well. Because listen, if a guy throws fastballs 50% of the time, then he throws changeups 30% of the time. And if he did that in 2015 and he still does it in 2020, he's still the same guy. And if Charlie Blackmon hits those well, then, I'm assuming he's going to hit him well here in the same exact spot, because a changeup is really similar to another person's changeup. But Yeah, I think it's a way to be different. I think it's a way to kind of stack it up and just be a little bit contrarian. And there's a lot of good spots to, attack here. I will say this, my buddy Matt Kemp, who I play a little bit, I'm not attacking him. I know his BVP is great at 8 for 19, but I don't care about Albert Pujols and Matt Kemp's BVP. You know why? Because they're old and dusty. So that's kind of how I look at the BVP a little bit.
Wow. And for those of you that don't know, is the roof going to be open in Arizona? Is it going to be closed? They actually they have a page on their website that says, is the roof open or closed? For some reason, it's open tonight and it's closed tomorrow, but whatever. That's just the way it goes. Guys, we are closing in on 115. We are 10 likes away from 115 likes, which means when we get to 115, one of you is going to win some Run Pure Sports gear. We got one game left and a couple other things. So, Kevin Gausman versus Clayton Kershaw. Now, you know me, I love San Francisco, and I love Flores and Yastrzemski at the top of this order tonight. I don't know what your thoughts are, because Kershaw just looked brilliant. He looks like the old Clayton Kershaw a couple of times early this season. Maybe the velo isn't quite there, but the command's there, the curveballs, everything's there. He's a monster. Every night the Dodgers are high owned. Is there any reason to fade the Dodgers, guys? Anybody?
I mean, yeah, I don't think this is a day where you necessarily have to stack a team and a whole stack's going to win you the money. I mean, it definitely could, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3-2, 2-1 or whatever. So I like the Dodgers. I like the top of the order, 1 through 5. That's who everyone pretty much likes, though. Or what I think is going to be like the Mookie, Seager, Bellinger, Muncy. They're priced up a little bit. I don't know how much Dodgers I will have, because there are other offenses that are cheaper that I do like a little more with the higher pitching that I want. So can always play the Dodgers. Never going to tell you they're a bad play, but I'm not going to have as much. And then, yeah, I'm with you on Kershaw. I mean, he definitely looks elite. A lot of swings and misses. Flores, Big T's guy, mashes lefties, some other guys in that lineup. So definitely look to see what he has to say about it. Other people might be on it, but for cash games and single entry stuff, I'm not looking at the Giants.
All right, Travis, since JSU is just giving you all sorts of props, give us the rundown. He loves you in the chat today. Usually he says horrible things about you, but he's being nice today. He likes you. So break it down, baby. What am I doing with the Giants and the Doyers? Do I have a one-off here or a stack?
Yeah, I mean, to hear JSU saying the good things, I'm excited about it, right? Hopefully I'm shipping like JSU tonight, right? That'd be fun. Yeah, I mean, Gausman's been like not bad this year, right? Like the Dodgers, they're an amazing offense, right? Like I feel like I haven't played them as much as I typically would on this is just a stacked offense, right? I feel like I want to play them. They're just super expensive, and they haven't really been fitting what I've been trying to do. And I always feel like they get some type of ownership, and they did let me down the other day when I stacked up the White Sox, and I needed I needed Turner and Bellinger to get there. So I'm a little frustrated at that offense, but Gausman hasn't been bad. I don't think I want to necessarily attack Kevin Gausman. He's been good, and I get it. The Dodgers could clearly go off, but I just think there's better offenses on this slate that we discussed. Talked about the Padres. I didn't mention the Diamondbacks that much when we were there, but I do think the Diamondbacks are a pretty good play here, attacking some of these lefties, taking shots on them. Talked about the Cardinals, having some interest in them. I like this A's offense a bit, and even this Rangers I don't think is bad. So, just wanted to mention that. And, hey, Ryan did a little research for us, Mr. Titletown. Here's some non-cores numbers for you. Blackman versus Ray, 28 at-bats. 4 of them are the home runs, 13 are the hits, and 1.1 OPS. And Story, Nato, Blackman versus Ray, away from cores, 66 at-bats, 9 homers, 17 RBIs, 1.37 OPS. So I don't know if you want to be here till we're like 100 and wait for 2,000 at-bats, we can, but I don't have time to wait for 2,000 at-bats.
And that's just why I don't use it. But hey, everyone does their own thing, Ryan. I was curious, glad to find it. Yeah, I mean,
there's certain numbers you can look at and say, okay, this guy just sees the ball coming out of his hand very well. I think Charlie Blackmon's probably one of those guys where there's not many guys that I'll go BVP, but once in a while I can see it. Maybe Mangone, or maybe that's your guy tonight. Are you just locking him in?
He's just expensive. He's just expensive. The problem I have here, and listen, I'll admit, with NBA, I haven't built my lineups out a ton. Man, I am definitely struggling a bit with getting in these bigger bats, right? Because I think I'm going to end up going the DeGrom and Dinelson Lamet route. that's where I'm kind of leaning at pitcher. And it's tough, obviously, to get in the bats. No doubt in my mind. So,
we got breaking news. Brewers will not play tonight.
oh, gosh.
Brewers
Okay.
will not play tonight. They have decided not to play tonight's game. That is huge.
I don't see, because we'll probably have questions answered in chat. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think other teams are going to follow like the NBA did. I just want to, but always be looking out. But I'm not expecting a domino effect. But let's just make sure to watch.
You don't know at this point. That's
so we'll be in Discord, but don't expect that your lineups, that the slate's not going to be refunded if everyone plays except the Brewers game. So just know that and don't expect it.
Yeah. Jared Diamond reporting that too. No Brewers.
Cool. Yeah. One thing I want to mention. So like Landa said, I agree with Mango, but play the 3-man Rockies on the road over the year and see how it works for you. Landa, like you're right. Like you're 100% right. Get it. If you just want to fade the Rockies all the time on the road, that's fine. If that's what you want to do in your process, that's okay. But context is everything, right? Like the Rockies, if they're 1% owned, that's different than the Rockies being 10% owned on the road. It depends on what the slate looks like. It depends if we're having, maybe there's bad chalk that people are, spending on. It's a way to get leverage and be contrarian. So not every slate is created equal. I agree. I get it. If you want to, approach it that way, that's fine. And you're right. Big T constantly talks about playing teams in certain parks. Yes, I agree. I'm a big park person, but I'm also a believer in the roof is open and it's 107. And maybe I'm wrong. Like I could be absolutely wrong that the weather is not in effect and it could be a problem. And you can't be the guy that tells me BVP doesn't matter and the 10-game sample size of the roof being open at 107 degrees doesn't matter. So pick your side. Pick which side of sample size you're on because you can't pick and choose. I'm sorry.
It's Reds Brewers game canceled. We're really close to the start time of some other games. I don't see that.
We got some big news. Matt Chapman scratched. I don't know if that is injury related. I don't know if that is like, hey, I don't want to play related, but that is something to note, something to monitor. And that obviously hurts the A's stack a little bit because we like Matt Chapman. Maybe that helps the A's offense too get in a cheaper option that you can help get them in more. Because I was building an A's stack with kind of those two pitchers and I was struggling. I'll admit that.
Well, Chapman got hit in the head last night, but he ended up finishing the game. I don't know if that's bothering his head or something, but I know that that's what happened last night. I saw him get popped. So maybe that's it. He's out. God, we got a lot of news today. Steve Anthony brings up a good question. Can we just take the 112 thumbs up, combine them with the 4 thumbs down, and make that to where we can get free stuff? The answer to that question is no. Second of all, what kind of a miserable dick do you have to be to go on a show and hit the thumbs down button? I mean, seriously, I've never even done that. And I'm a jerk. Like, yeah, you're like pot, but come on.
Holden, you're like the guy who, I tweeted out on Run Pure Bets, I have an NBA's final pick. And 3 hours ago, I said, this has been my finals pick for a while. I waited for the line to bounce back to where I liked it at to tweet it out and give it to you guys. Put it on the sheet. Some guy goes, NBA finals are over. You wasted your time. It's like, bud, you wasted your time typing that tweet out. Like it's okay. Like you actually knew.
Travis.
Yeah, just
go get him. All right, we hit 118, so that's good. You're getting free stuff real quick. Title stacks, give me them.
Yeah, so I was just looking at weather. It might be okay for tournaments or might be worth the risk. So on FanDuel, and that's the Red Sox game I'm referring to, and the Blue Jays. I like that as my favorite for FanDuel. And then for Draftkings and FanDuel as well, it goes Cubs, Athletics, and I do like Chapman being scratched because, as you mentioned, it gets them a lot cheaper, which matters. And then the Detroit Tigers.
Detroit Tigers.
As my sneaky stack.
Travis Mangione, let's do it. What do you got?
So stacks. I like the A's, man. I'm starting to get excited about them. Again, I'll admit I haven't built a ton, so I would love to get them in my lineups. It's going to be a little bit tougher. So yeah, that's the I guess kind of expensive stack I had, but again, who knows with Chapman out of the lineup, right? Because he was definitely a priority spend for me. Mango would be probably playing some Cubs. I don't know if Travis is maybe he'll mix in like a Rizzo here and there. I might go home run hunting a little bit, but I obviously like the stack and I like to do the correlation. Like the Padres. Padres is definitely a stack I'm looking at. Travis will be all over that. Gotta like them. And then we'll go for the last one. We'll say let's say the Cardinals. I don't know how I'm gonna kind of make it work. I think I'll go with them and Texas too. We'll throw Texas in the conversation. I think they're a nice low one.
Texas. Throw a little Texas out there, huh?
If no one's playing them, like I'm gonna go look at ownership. If no one's playing them, I think they're in play on like if you're playing like the $18 one, right? Like there can be so much leverage there for him. I think it's a good call.
$18 is so much money, Travis. I feel like Mangone wouldn't play $18. Just Travis.
Yeah, Travis doesn't care when he's entering, right? He's just gonna fire away with the winners, right? Because winners win, Holden.
Yeah, that's it. That's all they do. Home runs. I'm going with Hunter Dozier till he hits another one. Who do you got, Mangone?
All right, home run calls. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Mr. Marcus Semien. I like him a little bit. He's in a good spot. We'll go with him as a home run call. We'll go with who's the other guy I wanted to say?
I'm gonna say Charlie Blackmon probably.
Yeah, you're right. Let's put Charlie Blackmon in. We got to do that. We got to stay on brand. We got to do it for the haters, right? I don't know if I'll have the money for him. I hope I do. If I do have the money for him, I will play Charlie Blackmon. But Charlie Blackmon bangs one out. We'll go with him as one of the options. And they'll go to the Padres side of the ball. And Taijuan Walker, he has his struggles. Let's go with a little Trent Grisham. He's been hitting the ball pretty well. We'll go him. He bangs one out.
Okay. TT Boy.
Trevor Story, Mark Canha, Derek Dietrich.
All right, let me go scroll through this and see who gets the free swag. Okay, I'm going to go up. And Brandon Villie, Velie, info@RunPure Sports on the email, info@runpuresports.com, or just hit up Big T on the old Twitter machine. Just hit him up and say I won the swag today, and that's it. You can follow me on Twitter @Holden Radio, @Holden Radio. What about you, TT?
@Titletown2121. Always talking sports. Find me in Discord. NBA, I just got the notification, 8 p.m. Eastern today. Every player has been invited to discuss how they'll proceed following today's decisions from Woj. So
if I had to bet, they're canceling.
Really? I think
in there, they're done.
I would bet against. I think that today was a big who knows? I just think today they did what a huge, it changed. This is going to be in history. We will remember this. A huge thing. I think we'll see what the players do. We have no clue. It's going to be interesting, whatever decision they make. Here's
the deal. You can either just quit and get laid or play.
That's not about
20s,
that.
You can't go that long without sex in your 20s. That's ridiculous. Mangone. Just want to say something before we say goodbye, or do you have Twitter or anything?
No,
Charlie Blackman's going deep. That's all he's got to say.
Yeah, hopefully I can just chill back on the couch. I'm having bacon wrapped scallops for dinner, Holden. So how do you feel about that?
Good.
Yeah, I know, right? It's gonna be a good time. Having that with it's got maple syrup on it too. It's from a restaurant I like down here at the shore. So that's my night. I'm gonna watch some baseball, maybe, possibly. And if I'm not watching some baseball, I'll be building some PGA lineups, and I'll be building those regardless. So I got to finish up my core plays. And one last thing I'll say is if you're not on the Run Pure Bet side, jump on the Run Pure Bet side. Me and JJ are doing a PGA video later tonight. I don't know what time yet, but we'll be posting it in the Discord chat. So get in on the Run Pure Bets Discord chat, and we'll be giving out those PGA winners, giving those outrights and some of the tournament plays that we're playing in matchups.
All right, amigos. Again, if you're just joining us, do not play anyone from Milwaukee, Cincinnati. That game has been postponed, okay? For Title and Mangone, and of course, Captain back in the studio. I'm Holden Kushner, and we'll catch you later. Good luck tonight, everybody.